Awesome, we're live. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to the AWS Summit here in Washington, D.C. I'm Kyle Dickinson, your neighborhood-friendly senior security solution architect that specializes in threat detection and incident response. Well,
Best time ever.
Nailed it. Who are you, Jeff?
Everyone, I'm Jeff Marushak. I'm a solutions architect with our DoD Air Force team, and also live here in Washington, D.C. And we also have Aaron.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Aaron Hunter. I am a technical trainer with the AWS Training Certification team. But we're not here to talk about me. We are here to talk about some training, though.
We're here to talk about some new security content that has been released to the AWS Security blog, some new awesome artifacts that can help people defend themselves against ransomware events. And then we are going to talk about some awesome training things. And first, what I want to do is talk about the AWS blueprint for ransomware defense. So one of the big things that I've been working on along the last year with some of my coworkers is helping our customers understand how can they protect themselves from a ransomware event on the different AWS services from S3, RDS, EC2. And what we did is we created this blueprint with the awesome involvement with the ransomware task force. And so we mapped all of the different controls on to CIS, the Center of Internet Security. I think I have that right. Yep, it's right there.
Sounds good enough to me.
It sounds good enough to me. And so we created this artifact that can be used to help address concerns on how are you going to prevent, detect, respond, and recover from a ransom event. And so this is something that was just released, just announced, which is really awesome. It was a labor of love, and I definitely recommend that if you're looking for ways to understand how you can use different AWS services to secure yourself from ransomware, you could go ahead and take a look at this blueprint. Again, this was a labor of love. And Nicholas over there is going to be dropping links in the chat. Right, Nick?
Nick can't hear you, but
right.
There will be a link somewhere.
There will be a link in the chat for you to reference this. And actually, one of the blog posts that's been released for some time now is the anatomy of a ransomware event targeting data residing in S3. And so if you wanted to look at how you can address S3, we have this blog post that Nick will also leave a link in the chat for you as well. Right, Nick?
Right, Nick?
Our producer?
Yep. You gotta hit the on button. And so this blog post goes over the anatomy of a ransomware event, what a customer would observe if they were impacted by a ransomware event on S3, and ways to detect it and analyze, but then also the response processes and how to recover.
Yeah, so Kyle, I don't mean to put you on the spot, so I apologize.
No.
But what are some typical things to look out for? Like, what off the top of your head? Because I've never thought about it before.
So,
ransomware attack. What kind of things do these papers go over?
Well, so one of the big things to recognize is that a lot of these events are successful because of exposed credentials.
Right.
And in fact, shameless plug, a colleague of mine and I were going to be doing a chalk talk that repeats at Reinforce this year.
That's next week.
Oh my gosh, it is next week.
Yeah. On the other side of the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we're going to be doing a deep dive on how to respond to exposed credentials and how you can detect defense evasion and persistence. Because when you're responding to a ransomware event, in some way, shape, or form, you're also responding to a exposed credential event as well.
Right.
Yeah, and so when you're doing that, so this paper focuses specifically on S3. We'll be having a talk on ransomware that impacts data residing in RDS as another chalk talk at Reinforce, which is next week. Oh my gosh.
Yes, next week, next week, next week.
Yep, all next week.
So typically when I think of malware or ransomware, I think of data getting encrypted somehow and the bad actors wanting a payoff to decrypt it.
Yeah.
Does it look the same here, or is there a different type of thing I'm missing?
You know, that's a good question, because one of the big reasons why we wanted to talk about data residing within Amazon S3 first is because it's a bit different. It qualifies as a ransom event because there is a note that says, hey, pay us money, we'll give you your data back. But based on the events that I've supported, it's typically a data destruction event. And, let's just say that unauthorized individuals, they aren't necessarily truthful all the time. And so there's multiple ways, and we call it out here in this blog post, of how to determine if data was truly obtained or if it was deleted. And so I recommend taking a look at this and the ransomware blueprint, which we have dropped links in the chat now. Right, Nick? Yep, I'm getting, a thumbs up from Nick.
They are there. I'm watching it right now, too.
Perfect. Oh, there we go. And so these are some awesome artifacts to reference when it comes to ransomware events and how to protect, detect.
And I see your name on the blog post, so good job.
I am biased.
Megan, Karthik, and Kyle.
Megan, Karthik, and Kyle, yeah. The dynamic trio, almost like this dynamic trio.
Yes.
Can you believe they let us talk to people live?
Yes. I mean, no.
And then to the other side, which I think is really, really cool, another teammate of mine, Anna Maccabee and Connor Colgan, they created this updated AWS ramp-up guide for security, identity, and compliance, which goes a little bit into your realm, Aaron, in training and certification to different types of modalities for you to be able to sharpen your skills for security, identity, and compliance on AWS. Now, you know way more about the training and certification world than I could probably ever put. What do you say about these ramp-up guides, and how could someone starting from net new learn about new skills on security on AWS using these type of guides?
So the guides are really good because they're broken down in different sections. So we can see here, if you can zoom in for me, please, because I can't see. Oh, well, yes, thank you. So if you zoom in, and you can see here, it says learn the fundamentals. So it starts with a fundamental foundational knowledge, and it gives you a couple different very prescriptive guides of like how you can get started, where you can go, how long it'll take. So learning resource, cloud practitioner essentials, or maybe technical essentials, because they're both targeted toward very specific individuals who are trying to learn specific tasks. One is 6 hours, one is 4 hours. If you hover over the type where it says digital training, then we can see here, it might be hard for everyone to see, but at the very bottom it says explore.skillbuilder.aws.
I could just bring up Skill Builder.
You could also just click on it for me. Thank you for doing that. You might have to sign in, but you saw that it pulls you into Skill Builder. So if you were to sign into Skill Builder, it would eventually redirect you to that landing page itself. So we go back over to the ramp-up guide. The same thing applies toward, you might need to go, I know.
I know how to drive.
Yeah. Always open links in new tab.
Nah.
All right, so here we can see is if you go down, now we go beyond the fundamentals. We go into cloud security fundamentals. So the cloud fundamentals are really just about the overall how the services work, why you might want to choose one service instead of a different service for this, like the application.
Why cloud, the benefits.
The foundation, the stuff. But you're talking about security here. So now we go deeper into the security flywheel, and we say, now let's target and specifically start talking about IAM, or identity and access management, because that's where everything starts. It's where permissions happen. You have roles, you have users, you have federated users or roles. You may need to use like organizations or like specific services.
It seems like we're slowly ramping up.
Exactly.
To get to where...
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
It's a ramp-up guide.
Exactly.
Because we're ramping up.
And here, I'm guessing I haven't seen this one because it was released a day ago. So if you scroll down, you'll actually see, keep going. I'm guessing it has like 4 pages if I were to guess.
I'm going to say 5 because that's what it says at the top.
There you go. Okay, 5 pages. So what we can see here is if you go all the way to the 5th page, I'm going to guess that this is more of an advanced topic. 4th page, here we go. So the 5th page is a placeholder for other stuff. 4th page is going to be more advanced, like becoming an IAM policy master in 60 minutes or less. So Bridget actually is a director for the identity and access. So that was her.
That's actually how I learned identity and access management when I was getting on board with Bridget Johnson.
Bridget Johnson. This is one of my favorite videos for IAM. It still applies today because the foundational concepts of becoming a master still apply today, but you have to use 2012, 10, 17 for the IAM version, all that stuff. Yeah.
And I think what's really awesome to call out here is this threat detection and incident response section.
Of course you would.
Right? Where the security incident response guide was actually just recently updated as well. But then there's also a really great blog post on logging strategies for security incident response that covers the different log sources that you could pull from AWS to enable your investigations and your operational monitoring to understand, did something abnormal happen in our environment? And then taking it a step further too, there's workshops that you could run on your own, and some of these workshops are even ran at AWS events like Reinforce and reInvent to get more hands-on. And I don't know about you, Aaron, but I really like the mixture of the modalities here because I'm a hands-on learner, but sometimes I don't want to be typing. I want to be just, lecture listening and learning more concepts. But then if I'm also able to then tie it up with a hands-on workshop to kind of solidify that information, I feel like this can work for many different types of learners.
Yeah, and being here at the WWPS Summit, it's more public sector, and I imagine compliance is really, really important.
Yeah.
If you scroll to the top of page 3, I think there's a compliance section. Yeah.
There you
go.
go.
So you can get specific, detailed, tailored training for that type of solution.
Yeah, like AWS config, which is your, hey, this is, falling within a baseline that you would require within your environment, but then even using services like AWS Audit Manager, introduction to healthcare and life science compliance on AWS. Again, here at the Public Sector Summit, I'm sure there's individuals that would be interested at this. And also, one of my biggest things I like to applaud when it comes to security is how can we scale it? And there it is, security governance at scale.
Yeah, and even auditing accounts and environments. So this says performing a basic audit, but it's a hands-on lab. So if you hover over that lab link, it's still going to send you to Skill Builder, so you can use the Builder Labs and then get some really good hands-on experience. Maybe you're just getting started, but you want some compliance experience before you go into looking for a new job even, maybe. So a lot of options.
Now, what does the Skill Builder, is that relatively new-ish? Has that been around?
It's been around for a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, and we just updated, so now we have over 600 courses that has a full catalog. So you can use AWS Skill Builder, or just go to skillbuilder.aws, and you can have the individual subscription for $29 a month, and you have access to the entire catalog of over 600 courses.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. I've worked with AWS Educate a little bit. Can you tell us the differences between AWS Educate and Skill Builder and how they kind of work together a little bit?
So Skill Builder is more at your own pace type training. AWS Educate is more around, I would say, institutionals. So maybe lower education, higher education, educational platforms, whereas Skill Builder itself is you can sign up for it. There's a free tier as well. You can sign up for the free tier. You get access to some of the free tier training, but you can also subscribe to it on a monthly basis and get access to the entire catalog. So I would say it's different in a way where it's based on where your learning journey is as of today.
Cool.
That is awesome. I'm a big fan of training and certification. That's just me, though.
Yeah, me too. No bias. It's not like I'm wearing a training certification shirt.
Oh, wait, you are.
Yeah, what does it say? It starts now?
The time is now.
The time is now?
Actually, the time is almost 4 o'clock.
It's 3:42.
Are all three of us members of the Security Specialty Club?
I want to say I am, but the first rule is we don't talk about Security Specialty Club.
It's like a fight club.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well then let's talk about, I've done a bunch of these trainings. I have not taken the Security Best Practices class. Can one of you kind of prepare me for what that would involve?
It involves best practices on security.
Yeah.
Interesting.
About AWS security.
Yep.
That's fascinating.
Isn't
Yep.
it? When looking at these step-up guides, so does Skill Builder provision like a lab environment for someone to run a workshop in as well?
Yeah, so if you have the Builder Lab, it's going to do that for you in the account. There are some walkthrough guides where it may say, go ahead and launch this in your own account, but be very careful. If you ever see anything that's launching it in your own account, be aware of cost, okay? So the guide's going to do a really good job of walking you through best practices, but anything that you launch in your own account may incur some cost. Ideally, you're using something like AWS Jams or AWS Cloud Quest even, because there's a AWS Jam Journey security focus. Yeah. There's also an AWS Cloud Quest security badge that you can earn, and you can put it on your LinkedIn.
Yeah, so I've recently got the Cloud Practitioner Cloud Quest badge, and I see here under putting it all together, we have a security Cloud Quest. So
we do.
Can you talk about what a Cloud Quest is really quick?
I can, yeah. So elevator pitch on CloudQuest. It's a digital universe that you can walk around. You can't pet the pets, but there are pets that you can talk to.
Well, there's a button to pet, isn't there? If you get a pet,
I don't know. I don't know if you can pet them. I'm going to check that out. Okay, but you can talk to the pets. You can earn tokens, and you can solve challenges, and you get the DIY solution. So you can do the practice. You get a practice solution, and that kind of guides you through everything in an account that the CloudQuest platform provides for you. So it's zero cost out of your pocket, except for the subscription, because Skill Builder individual subscription is how you can access that security challenge.
That's super cool.
It is.
And I know that you still have an index of the Security Power Hour we did last October for the Security Specialty Certification too.
Yes.
And I'm also biased because I hosted it. But
thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so that's another way, if you're into like live streaming learning, that's another good way to obtain content for the specific domains on the Security Specialty Certification. Too much cool stuff is coming out.
It's funny, earlier on, you and me were talking about data lakes, data warehouse.
And the security
swamps.
of all of it.
But what's funny, we see here Amazon Security Lake.
Yes.
And so that goes hand in hand with what you mentioned, making sure you're logging appropriately, so in case an event happens, you have the logs. But there's a lot of logs. And so
there is a lot of logs.
We can do some research into Amazon Security Lake. This sounds good.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is now generally available.
I heard about that.
Yeah, that's exciting news.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I wanted to bring up before we said goodbye to all of our friends for the rest of the day.
Which is coming up here pretty soon, in just a couple minutes.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sad about that.
It's the final countdown.
It's the final countdown. Ba-da-da-ba.
I mean,
Nick is over there playing the air guitar. And we got some backup vocals.
It's actually a good album.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. But anyway, this has been awesome. So let's go and recap today. What were some of your highlights? I know picking favorites isn't friendly. I loved, at least all the sections that I did. I learned a lot about human genomes.
Yeah.
The aliens are still not possibly real. At least we don't have data on their genomes yet.
But we don't have data that they don't exist.
That's fair. That's very true. We also learned about how Discovery Education is using Amazon Personalized to help bring relatable content to teachers and students in the millions.
4.5 million educators and 45 million students with a 200% click-through rate or click rate. So they're getting the right content in front of the right people.
That's incredible.
I don't know how I memorized those numbers so fast.
I don't. And then we talked about Amazon Bedrock, which, I mean, the topic of generative AI is just so huge right now.
Yeah.
And we got to see Amazon Bedrock in action.
Yes.
It found out that I'm a professional football player.
Yeah.
So that's
but you like hockey? Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, that's my hidden identity.
And the cool thing about that is they're using AWS Silicon and NVIDIA GPUs to reduce cost by up to 50%.
Yep.
Again, I don't know why I memorized that fact.
Well, some cool, probably my favorite thing I talked about today is, I don't know if you guys have worked with Landing Zone Accelerator before, but it's a very popular AWS solution that is catching on. I've actually demoed it for some customers, but hearing that there is a flavor of it for the education segment was really exciting. So that's what but me being biased for something that I did, I ran a builder session about IoT Sitewise this morning. That's why I wasn't on in the show in the morning. That was kind of my highlight of the
we
day.
missed you so much. You know what? Hopefully we'll see you in the morning. So tomorrow, June 8th.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Pacific.
Not Greenwich Mean Time.
Yeah.
But Eastern Standard Time.
Everyone bring your pineapples. 9 a.m. tomorrow.
You got to hit the on button, Nick.
More from AWS On Air tomorrow morning on twitch.tv/AWS On Air. Give us a follow there. Live from the Washington, D.C. Summit, or the WWPS Summit here in Washington, D.C. Kyle, thanks for talking to us about security. Jeff, thanks for jumping in and talking to us about data analytics and shipping data analytics.
And I appreciate you talking about training and certification things. And just you being you.
The time is now.
The time is now.
Ba-da-da-ba.
Actually, the time for us to wrap this up.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Round of applause to our moderators, our awesome ASL interpreters,
Absolutely.
our awesome camera crew in the background. Definitely not Nick.
And all of the attendees
and all the people
walking behind
and
here.
hello
throughout
to
the
our
day.
friends
Hi,
everywhere.
Expo.
Hello to our friends over there. We'll see all of our friends tomorrow live.
People think we're crazy.
Because we are.
I think that's it.
And we're out.